Are you a parent who needs support for being your child's teacher? Do you need some encouragement as you facilitate your child's learning at home and everywhere else? Or maybe you just need to take a break and connect with fellow parents? If your answer is yes, then join us on the Educating for Life show. Join us, Mariel Ukienko, Michelle Pradelanan, San Unson, and Tina Rodriguez, the homeschooling moms behind the Philippine Homeschool Convention and online events like the Connect Homeschooling and Intentional Parenting Summit, as we share about different topics related to home-based education and everything in between. Watch our episodes on our Facebook page, Events by EFL, and on our YouTube channel. We hope that you'll join us because Educating for Life is all about supporting families and valuing education. See you there!
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Educating for Life show. Yay! It is me, Tina, and I am solo this evening because we have special guests. So I wanted to make sure that we wanted to make sure that our attention is solely focused on them. But my fellow Educating for Life moms are also watching and joining us in spirit tonight. I am very nervous. I don't know why. So thank you for joining and supporting us this evening, San, Michelle, and everybody else. So before I begin, I want to say thank you to my host for this evening because we are streaming live from Laguna. I am not in Bulacan tonight. I am in the province of Laguna. So thank you so much, Casa Buen and the Buen family. Follow Casa Buen on IG, guys. So they are here. They have generously allowed us to use their studio for now before we go home. And if you hear any noises, it's just my family who's with me here in the studio. So don't worry about it. We have a live audience. Come on, guys. Can I hear your... Okay, backstage. They're backstage. All right. So I am very, 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 very excited for this evening because we have special guests from our neighbor here in Southeast Asia, Singapore, joining us. Hello, good evening, girl. Happy birthday. Thank you for joining us, and thank you, Benz. Okay, so I will not take much of our time anymore. So tonight we are going to share homeschooling stories with our friends from Homeschool Singapore, and we'll be talking about home education in Asia, true stories and lessons learned. And I'm very, very, very excited to hear their stories. So I will introduce them to you one by one. First off, we have Dawn Fong. She is the author of Homeschooling in Singapore and Education. So she is the author of the first book about homeschooling in Singapore, if I'm not mistaken. She founded Homeschool Singapore, and she's actually one of our speakers before, a few times actually already in EFL's events. She was one of the key leaders in the Singapore homeschooling landscape in the early 2010s to 2020s, and she has spoken at various international events. So that includes in the Philippines, no? And she believes that education reform begins in the family, and every child should have every right to great education. So Dawn actually runs two companies, Parent Ed International and Little You, focusing on personalizing care for parenting, teaching, and children's education for all. She provides consultation to individuals and companies on human resource development with a unique unschooling/homeschooling approach. Dawn homeschools her 3 children and is based in Singapore, and I'm welcoming her here right now. Hi, Dawn! All right. And our next guest is Shen Sin. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Okay, I've been practicing and I think I'm still messing it up. But anyway, Shen Sin is one of the curriculum fair organizers of the upcoming Homeschool Convention Asia edition. So prior to homeschooling, she was an educator for about 20 years, involving children from 3 years old to 18 years old. She and her husband, their homeschooling approach is learning through life and for life. I so relate with her. They constantly seek out authentic and interesting ways to help their children learn just by doing life together. And though there are good and bad days, Jen Sin and her husband, She Xiang, are thrilled to be on this learning and discovery journey with their 4 children aged 2 to 12 years old. So welcome, Shen! Hello! And our last guest, Rebecca Teo, is the eldest among the 4 of us. No, I'm just kidding. So she is the youngest among us 4. She is the co-organizer with Magdalene Hoy. So they're actually homeschool alumni. They are the organizers for the high school program at the Homeschool Convention 2022 Asia edition. Rebecca is also part of the founding team and current producer of the Socially Awkward podcast, a podcast that features homeschoolers, their stories, and their thoughts. We should have a Filipino version, guys. If you agree, put Put it down in the comments. Through this, they hope to build a greater online presence for homeschoolers in Singapore. Rebecca believes learning is lifelong and that there is much to life that we can explore. So here we are adding Rebecca. Yes, hi. So good evening, and thank you for joining us despite your busy schedules. Ladies, I know there's it's 1 week to go, less than a week to go to the Asian Homeschool Convention. So as early as now, congratulations for mounting this historic event, the first Asian Homeschool Convention. Clap your hands for yourselves. Yes. I know it's very, very hard to put up an event like this. So I really honor all of you and the whole team. And San says hi to Dawn. All right. So without further ado, let's go to our questions because I'm very, very excited to hear what you have to say. Okay, Dawn. Especially for those, I'm a homeschooling nerd, so I like to research about homeschooling in other countries. But for those who have no idea what it's like, tell us a little bit about homeschooling in Singapore. For example, is it legal? And what other details can you share with us?
Hello, everybody. Homeschooling is completely legal. I was gonna say illegal, but I'm gonna take it more seriously. Yeah. So nobody goes to jail. Okay. Everybody gets to try to homeschool. The government grants local citizens permits to homeschool during the compulsory schooling ages of 6 to 12 years old under certain criteria. So citizens need to fulfill the requirements of the documentation required by the compulsory education unit. And all homeschooling children have to take the PSLE at 12 years old and score above the lowest 33rd percentile of the PSLE cohort. If not, you have to retake the PSLE. So some of the reasons for why the government does it, it's because they are taking the middle of the road approach. They don't have long years of compulsory education like in other countries, but 10 years. They keep it to just 6 years. So it's less taxing, right? Even on taxpayers' money, because you're paying all these officers to take care of you. And another reason is to ensure that all children that are not going to school but are homeschooling has a basic have a basic education, foundational skills. All right. So the PSLE standardizes those skills and ensures everybody has a common syllabus and common experience when learning. So for those of you who wish to homeschool in Singapore, you will have to consider some of the trade-offs, whether you have time to do so, whether how you're going to get help, and how are you going to help your kids in the academics. So it's not a bit of roses, but it has been rewarding for every homeschooler who has taken the journey. And we are very thankful that our country has been open enough to allow homeschooling. There are other countries that sees homeschooling as deviant or dangerous or maybe make it illegal, but Singapore's not like that. Singapore tries to be moderate in a lot of approaches. So I think we're trying to have the best of everything, and we try to make it work.
Thank you for sharing. So what does the PSLE stand for again?
The primary school examination.
Okay. So you have to take this when you're 12 years old.
Yeah, to be promoted to secondary school. So some of you may have heard that, Singapore exams are very stressful. Well, actually, the most stressful is that 12-year-old exam. Just because it's compulsory for all, and it can be incredibly difficult, but it really depends on your mindset when you take the exam. There's so many factors, and I think homeschooling gives us a chance to just reduce the stress for the children and to approach the exam with a different mindset.
Oh, thank you for sharing that, Dawn. So I want to know now, like, what are your respective homeschooling stories? Like, for example, how did you start, and what kind of homeschooling did you do? How has it been so far? And of course, for Rebecca, she's the proof of the pudding. She's the homeschool graduate, so her story will be different from everybody else's. So let's start with Zenshin.
Yeah, hi everyone. As you can see, I have two little girls that's trying to get some airtime. Yeah. So I have 4 children, like Tina mentioned. They are 2 plus to 12, 2 older boys and 2 younger girls. So I started homeschooling when them since they were in preschool, so all of them have never been to school, and like yeah, so I actually resonate with the educating for life show because like Tina mentioned, yes, I believe that in learning through life and learning for life, although it is yeah, we have been like formally homeschooling for about 7 years, and and we also learn along the way. Although I still believe in the learning through life, like learning for life, but like Don mentioned, there is a PSLE. My son is 12, and sometimes the academics have to be taught very intentionally. Yeah, it doesn't come through life lessons. So yeah, so easily. Yes, so yeah, so I guess for now in this season is really to cater to the needs of the huge age group and also to get my son ready for the national exam. Yeah.
Thank you. And they are adorable, your kids, even if I can just see the the top of their heads. How about you, Rebecca, before we hear from Dawn? Tell us about
Yeah.
being homeschooled.
Yeah, so I'm 19 this year, so I've been homeschooled ever since I was born, preschool. So I haven't been to school at all, so that's a whole 19 years. I think my homeschooling experience has been quite eclectic. I did work towards the PSLE and managed to pass on like the first goal, thankfully. So before that, we just did like normal everyday like kid stuff, and then I think for like the 2 years leading up to the exam we were more intentional, and then I got like a tutor for subjects that I wasn't so strong in, and then after that like my mom was like, hey, like what do you want to do, because like I had friends that were doing like co-ops. I had friends that were doing just like a straight 4 years on online high school, and then my brother, I think he also did like some self-studying and like just classes, and he took an exam. So my mom was like, what do you want to do? So I think the first like 3 years after that was just like trying out different things. So I did a combination of like self-studying with books, tutors, a couple online classes, and I did other things like sports. I went for a sewing class, and I did public speaking like for like a good 7 years. And then the last 2-3 years I've been doing like personal projects. So the podcast that you mentioned is a personal project that I am involved in. So in general, my homeschooling experience has been quite flexible, and I'm thankful for that because I could learn things at my own pace. Like stuff like English, math, and science that I tend to struggle in because I'm more of a creative person. So the flexibility of homeschooling gave me the time to really like understand and like be able to like those subjects, as opposed to if it was like forced down my throat, I'd be like crying every time I did it. Yeah.
I love what you said about your mom always asking you like, what do you want to do? Because that's what I do with my kids now. My
Yeah,
kids who
it's
are
nice.
older, like your age, when did
Mm.
she start asking you that? When you were 16, 15 maybe? Yeah, so
I
that's
think right after the exam we had to kind of like decide what we want to do. So I did have some
yeah.
input, but as I grew older, I had more say. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I have hope. We have hope for those who have younger kids. Hi. So we have hope. Okay, so Dawn, how about you? I mean, for those who haven't heard your talks before in our events, please share a bit about your own homeschooling journey.
Well, my own homeschooling journey, I used to be a teacher, and I gave the best waking hours to other people's children. And I wondered what would happen to my own children who wanted me. So homeschooling was a way to redeem the time, that I really wanted. Oh, okay, hang on. Come here, baby. And what challenges do I face now? I mean, my oldest is 14 and my youngest is 4. My challenge is actually time. I'm having a bit of hard of trouble, just dividing my time. Look at this. Right. So
I can relate.
I want to give my time to all my kids, and I can't just divide myself enough. I don't know how to do it. Plus all the projects I want to do and all the things I want to do with the community. When I look at the challenges, I don't really think of them as bad challenges. I think of them as opportunities to really get to know how to problem solve, get to know how to think entrepreneurially and how to be creative. And I feel that life is not linear. It's not you do this, then you get this, then you get this. It's more
Yeah.
like, oh, something comes at you and then something else comes at you. And it's more important to just write the day with a positive mindset and to imagine, well, what's the problem we're going to solve today? And solve it as it comes. That's where homeschooling is for me right now.
Oh, thank you, Dawn. I think a lot of people watching now, and I'm sure all of us here, the four of us, can relate to there's so many things we want to do for the community. But what about we also have to think of our own children, right? So there's always that juggling act. But by God's grace, I think, if He calls us to it, He'll see us through it. So that was very interesting because I know that in Singapore, well, I don't know if it's a good term, but the educational system is a bit very strict in that sense, or very like, there's a lot of tuition, right? Extra classes, tuition, and all that. And I remember growing up in Brunei, it was the same for me. Tuition classes. I had a lot of classmates who had extra classes after school, so it was also stressful. I'm sure it's still the same now in many Asian countries. So I have another question for you. What is the most, so you shared about, a little bit about each of your own homeschooling stories. What is the most memorable experience or story that you can share about your home education journey? So let's start with Zenshin.
Let me share. Like I said that my motto was like to learn for life and through life. So initially in the initial years before COVID happened, my husband and I were like running a company, and we will usually bring our kids along for events and all that. So as we try to settle down for academic work, I wonder whether those years were like a bit like wasted. Yeah, but recently something happened that helped me see some hope and comfort is that I bought a packet of paper clips. It's the box for some as a manipulative for my 9-year-old. So the first thing he did was to count how many paper clips there were. And he said, Mom, it's supposed to have 100, but there's only 85. Imagine you go to a workshop, you'll be short of things for the participants. So I said, okay, okay. And after that, he said it again. Remember to check, okay? If not, if you do a workshop, you won't have enough for the participants. Then I thought, oh wow, I think he really caught on like, the responsibility in running workshops, like making sure that there's enough things for whoever's attending. I thought this is really something that you can't learn from the book. Yeah, the books may teach you how to divide. Like you have 10 participants and 100 paper clips, how many will one get? But you will not think that like, hey, if they don't have enough, then they cannot finish the task that they need to do. So I guess this is one encouragement I got. Like, even in bringing them along, letting them see us do live, they do catch on stuff that will help them in future. Yeah. So
Thank
that's my
you
story.
for sharing that. Yes, we can relate, especially as educating for life moms, bringing our kids everywhere and helping out in whatever they can do. How about you, Rebecca?
Yeah, so I mean, since we're talking about kids, I really love kids, and I think ever since young, I've always been that person that kind of like looked out for the little kids. So naturally, when there was like an opportunity to help out at like conferences to look after the kids, I was like, hey, I'm here. And so it's not necessarily like one story, but I have been babysitting a couple families, and so like this family I've been babysitting for like 2 years already, up till now. And I think that experience is not something that comes to everyone. Like not everyone babysits and does school at the same time, at least not in Singapore that I know of. And just like taking care of kids, and because like they are a homeschooling family as well, just like seeing how like the parents intentionally schedule the day of the kids and make sure the kids have a good balance of like academics and also like having fun. It's really like just helped me reflect on my own homeschooling journey and help me think a little bit more about learning and just intentionality in general. And I'm really, really thankful for that experience.
Oh, thank you for sharing. Can you come over here and babysit my kids?
if I visit the Philippines one day, sure, I'll be down.
We should set up a babysitting company. You know, that's my dream, that somebody here among our homeschoolers, if you're watching now, that's one of our dreams, that somebody will set up within the homeschooling community a babysitting company or something like that. Of course, when it's, you know, when people are more confident because of COVID. Thank you for sharing that, Rebecca. It's very nice to hear that, you know, you learn how to work with people of different ages, even at a young age. And I think that's really a skill that you cannot learn, you know, in school, right? In conventional school. So how about you, Dawn? I know that you probably also have your own memorable story. What's the most memorable story so far?
I'll sum it up. I think the most memorable thing for me in my home educational journey is I couldn't have done it if I didn't choose it and if I was not alive. I think that's those are philosophically very important lessons for me. I had a life and death situation, a near death experience, giving birth to my second child. So I lost a lot of blood and I almost couldn't make it, and my gynae says 15 minutes more you would have died. You were losing so much blood. And so that gave me that gave me a wake-up call. What do I want to do with my life? Do I really want to just die like this? And so suddenly I realized life is so precious and I want to experience the entire spectrum of life. I want the intensity of it and I want my choices. I really feel that it's very important to own your choices and to understand and appreciate the consequences as a life story, as your life story unfolds. So when I think about my home education journey, I think about it's my responsibility, my choice to homeschool my children, and everything that comes with those choices is mine to own. And I felt that taking that personal responsibility and enjoying it has been the most memorable thing.
Oh, thank you, Dawn. That's a very sobering, actually, also realization for all of us, right? Because, yeah, we need to be intentional and be aware of, like, what is it that we want to do with our lives, no? And as parents, we are also responsible for the lives of our children. So I think it's something that we all need to be reminded of, the importance of, learning from our past and applying it now to what we want to do. And thank you for that, for sharing your memorable stories. I want to share mine too, so that you can also hear it. So mine was, I think the most memorable story is that when we finally embraced unschooling, thanks to Dawn and to other people who encouraged us to just jump in, that was most memorable because for a long time I was dealing with the anxiety of feeling that I wasn't doing enough, or that I'm ruining the future of my children, things like that. So for me, when I finally accepted and embraced that, oh, this is the path that is suitable for our family, and this is what we're called to do, this is what we're called to take, it helps so much, and we received so many blessings that affirmed our family that it was the right path for us. So that's memorable for me. So actually memorable also was speaking to you, Dawn, connecting with Homeschool Singapore as a community through Dawn. And that's why we're here. That's why we're here with the Asian Homeschool Convention. I have goosebumps just saying that. Next week.
I remember. Yes.
Yeah, you remember. So okay, now let's talk about important lessons. Okay, what are the most important lessons that you have learned along the way? If you can, please cite at least three important lessons. If not just one, it's okay. But just what have you learned along the way that you think is important? Let's start with Zhengxin again.
Okay. Yeah, this was a tough one. Yeah. So I was thinking, and I think as I progress in these 2 years, I guess is recognizing and accepting that this homeschooling journey it's as much a learning journey for myself as the parent as for the child. I cannot just think about, oh, I want my child to learn this, learn this, learn this. But it's about me learning to accept them, learning to change my thinking. And yeah, and also that's one thing. And also really being present and connecting with my children. Like I mentioned, I was like running a company in the first few years. So it's like I have to toggle between the company needs and their needs. Yeah, so that was yeah, so this year I begin to really sit down and connect with them and really realize that that's very important to listen to what their needs. Yeah, I must learn talk to Rebecca's mom, like how to negotiate with my children, like what they want versus what I want for them. Yeah, and also to truly give them choices so that they can have autonomy and go on to do really great personal projects like what Rebecca do. Yeah. So this is something I'm still learning. Yes.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. So I think it's a good reminder, not just for homeschooling parents, right, but for all parents in general, that being present and connecting with our kids, listening to them is something that we really need to do. And I'm also guilty of, of sometimes not being in the present. Like I'm here with you in the same room, but my mind is somewhere else, like at the homeschool convention. so so I can relate to that. Thank you for sharing that, Zengshin. How about you, Rebecca? I
Yeah,
love hearing from Rebecca because she's like so cool and young, right? So we learn a lot from her.
Thank you. For me, I think like one of the most important lessons that I've learned and still am learning is that there's no right way to learn or no right way to homeschool. Because I am 19, right? And around 18, 19 people are already like going to university or already applying, and I'm still preparing for like my exams to apply to university. So in a sense, like I'm a little bit behind my peers. But I did have my reasons for doing that, and I really wanted to like go into the mindset of like studying at university was something that I really wanted to study, and that it took time to find out what actually I wanted, and so there really is no right way to homeschool, and it isn't going to be easy. But I think that kind of brings me like to my second point, and that it's a privilege to have a passion for something. Not everyone's privileged like me to have like the time, to have the flexibility to try out different things, to find out what I like. So I think I'm really privileged to have a passion for kids, to have a passion for like the community that I'm in, to have a passion for learning about people and society. And that I honestly wouldn't be here if I didn't have the experiences of being a homeschooler. So I really want to recognize that there's that privilege. And then the last one is that there are skills that you will learn through leadership opportunities, and that you need to be intentional and be active in community. So that would be like the first step, to just like really putting yourself out there, and then like seeing things through a little bit more of a serious lens, and to see how you can contribute to your community, and that there are things that you really learn in a leadership role, be it big or small, that you otherwise wouldn't if you didn't do that. And that it's really important to go and find that, because that will not only grow you as like a leader, but also you as someone that is in community. Because when you know what it's like to be the one that is organizing or be the one that is serving the community, you are able to appreciate the other people in your community even more.
Thank you, Rebecca. So you'll be sharing this with the teens, right, in the upcoming convention. My son will be there, so I need him to hear you say. No, I'm just kidding. But it's good to be reminded. I was sharing with our son because he's also a teenager now. He's a young man, right? So I was telling him that your dad and I, the skills that we use now, we didn't learn them in university. We learned them through serving the community. So it sort of affirms what you're saying, Rebecca, right? That when you serve the community, when you help out in your community, that's where you really learn the skills that you need. And look at that, there's a convention coming up, and you are one of the main movers along with Don and Zengshin, the whole team. So Kudos to you. So by the way, guys, tonight is the last few hours for you to buy tickets for the high school program, okay, for the convention. So if you have teens in your life, even if they're not your kids, but you think that you want them to connect with teens from around Asia, please, there are limited slots available for the high school program. The ticket sales will end by 11:59. So there are a few hours left. Okay, sorry for my commercial. But anyway, now let's go to Dawn. Dawn, what are the most important lessons that you have learned so far?
Well, I was asked to cite three. So, first lesson is my child is another person. I think it's very important that as you homeschool, you don't impose your ideas on your children, thinking that your children totally understand why you do it and why they need to do it. You know, a lot of times children when they're young they will follow you, but as they grow older, they are another person, and it's very important for me to remember that because my child is another person, they are things I don't know about the child, and I need to constantly find out. I cannot assume I know my child straight away. My second lesson that I learned is my child's future is not my past. It's very interesting how we can be so directed by our past, you know, like when I was a child, this would happen to me. And if I didn't do it, this would happen to you too. And we tend to say all sorts of things to our children. If you don't do this, this is going to happen to you, you know? So, okay. So what happens is I think it's very important to, all right, it's very important to understand that our children's future is not here yet, and we can't predict that. All right. Okay, hang on. And our last one is my child is always my child. I don't care if he's a 50-year-old man or a 4-year-old boy. The parent's heart will always beat for the child. So, you know, even as your children grow up, they're still your children. There's always time. There's always time to repair the connections. There's always time to meet the need, but that are age appropriate. And you know, enjoy the day, enjoy the mercies of each day, and enjoy parenting.
Aww. There's always, wait, I'm typing that up. There's always time to enjoy the child. I want to take notes. All right. So I love what you said, Dawn, about our child's future. My child's future is not my past. And while I'm not sure how it is in Singapore, but in the Philippines, that's a very common thing, you know, that we project to our kids, like, oh, I wanted to be for example, it's a hypothetical example, okay? I'm not saying it's somebody from my own family, but for example, you know, the parent says, you know, when I was your age, I wanted to be a doctor. So you're going to be a doctor too, right? So that's one of the common things here in the Philippines. Now that a lot of times we project, like what Dawn said, we project our past to our child's future, and that's something that I am unlearning. Very, very intentionally trying to unlearn. So thank you for sharing that, Dawn. Also that there's always time. So if you are watching this, maybe you're not homeschooling anymore, or you're not a homeschooler, but you do have a desire to, you know, repair the past mistakes that you've made with your kids. Just like Dawn said, there's always time. Thank you so much for that. Now let's go to the Homeschool Convention. Okay, tell us about the upcoming Homeschool Convention, and I have prepared a few slides for that. Okay, so tell us about this Homeschool Convention that's happening on April 7 to 9, 2022, Thursday to Saturday. Okay, so tell us, Dawn, what inspired you to come up with this event?
Well, you know, our first event was in 2017, and I thought, you know, why isn't there one event that brings everybody together once a year just to enjoy mingling, meeting up, networking? And so I was thinking, convention, the word convention just came to mind. I was thinking maybe we should start a convention. And we had a friend from another group who runs the curriculum fair, and she says, how about we put the curriculum fair and the convention together? And we said, yeah, that sounds great. You know, so it became an opportunity for us to bookmark this date and to have it as a yearly event where everybody can meet and everybody can mingle. And I think there's something about that meeting that energizes us because it's so easy to be isolated. It's so easy to be in our small groups. And sometimes we just see we just need to see the big picture for a while and see, oh, so this is what we've been building. And as you grow each year, and the annual convention will have the flavor of that year. So it's a nice way to just remember how the community at large has been growing and shifting. So I think that the homeschooling convention is a very rare and rewarding event for everybody to just take that time out, maybe 1 or 2 days, come and learn from one another, come and say hello, and come and see what's in store. And of course, this year is very exciting because it's the Homeschool Convention Asia edition, right?
Yes, Asia. So why did you think of the Asian edition? That's something that I would like to know.
Okay, so 2 years back, I had this idea for ASEAN Homeschool Convention. I was thinking, Singapore is a bit, we've already done this and we have a pattern. Why not just get to know our neighbors more? But we have a great homeschooling community in Taiwan, and I thought I wanted to reach out to them too. And ASEAN is just 10 countries, but Asia is a lot bigger, and we are really right smack in the middle of the most exciting region of the world today. And I think a lot of spotlight is in Asia, Asian politics, Asian news, and I think when we think about Homeschool Convention Asia, it's a bigger piece of the puzzle. The homeschooling communities that's been Asia, they've done a lot of work. I know Taiwan's been doing a lot of work. Philippines, ASEAN neighbor, has been doing a lot of work longer than us. You guys have been doing a convention that's at least a few years more than us, and we have a lot to learn. And I think that's the mindset that we want to bring to the table. Who are these people? Who are our neighbors? And how can we learn from one another? We should never have the mindset that we all know it already, and therefore you come and be a part of us. It should be, we would like to get to know you and see how we can learn from each other and grow together as homeschoolers.
Thank you, Dawn. So let's go, Asia. Yeah, so we can still register. We can still buy tickets, okay? We will show you the link later. But let's hear from Rebecca and Zhengshin. Why do you think, first of all, tell us more about, why you think this is an event that is unique. And for me, I'd like to say that it is actually an event that is for the homeschooling history books. We should have one of those. Homeschooling in Asia, history, something like that. Why should people attend? Let's start with Zhengshin.
Okay, yeah. Yes, I guess so this I was involved in this curriculum fair, and also actually more in the kids curriculum fair. So usually we have a drop-off zone for kids for programs, but we thought that since the videos are all on demand, so we will do a kids curriculum fair where we will really ask people to come and showcase their products and services and sharing that is targeted for children, so children can sample various programs and parents get to see programs in action too. So we have more than 10 different programs for children 3 to 12 years old. And some of them also cater to the not Asia or even international audience. Actually, not there's so many things online. You can join any program anywhere in front of your computer. So so we hope to see more children join us and adults too. Then this curriculum fair is free access to all. So you can just go to our event page and find the Zoom link and just click in on the day too.
Yes, thank you. So this is actually free, right? Free to attend.
Yes, the curriculum fair is free to attend.
Yeah, so next week, guys, if you have the time, you can sign up. We'll show you the link where you can see all the information about the convention. So just visit homeschoolalumni.sg and you'll see all the information about the keynote teachings and the curriculum fair. And Rebecca, please share with us about the high school program.
Yeah, so it's really exciting because this year we're having our first ever program by youth or young adults or homeschooling graduates for homeschooling students. So it's a 2-day live event happening on the Discord platform. And our speakers are homeschool alumni from Singapore, Taiwan, and the Philippines. And we have facilitators who are graduates and current homeschoolers who are active in their communities. So through this 2-day live event, we hope to inspire and empower our participants with the knowledge that they can use their unique educational experience as leverage to start something with real world impact, be it a project, a business, or a community. We also have a music showcase on 9th April, 8 p.m. So it showcases homeschooling teens and their creative talents from like dancing to singing, and some even have their own original music. So that's really cool. So it's free on Zoom and anyone can attend. So you just go to homeschoolalumni.sg to get the Zoom link. Yeah.
There you go. Thank you so much. So homeschoolalumni.sg. All right. So just to refresh everybody's memories, these events, these are all everything that was mentioned, the curriculum fair and the high school program. And then there are keynote teachings that we also, Educating for Life moms, are very privileged to be part of. These are all part of the upcoming Asian Homeschool Convention. So you can find all the details there in the link that we're flashing. And I think San also put it in the comments, homeschoolalumni.sg. So for the keynote teachings, which are a collection of talks or teachings by different homeschoolers and educators from all over Asia, the tickets are still available now, right? So you can still purchase the tickets for that. But for the high school program, you have only a few hours left. So if you're watching this on replay tomorrow, Saturday, I'm sorry, but no more slots available for the high school program. But for the curriculum fair, everybody is welcome to register. It is a free event. So if you want to see what does homeschooling look like, Charlotte Mason look like in Singapore, for a Singaporean family, right? Because, Charlotte Mason has become very popular here in the Philippines. So what does it look like for a Singaporean family? Please sign up for the curriculum fair and we will see you there. We Educating for Life ladies also have a booth there. So to end, thank you so much, ladies. I know that you are probably already very tired and there's still one more week to go of event preparations. We've been there, so we understand and we're here to support you. But before I let you go, do you have any last words of encouragement for our viewers? Maybe we can start with Zhang Xin again.
I just want to say, yeah, it's really exciting to be part of this convention, and thank you for Tina and the Educating for Life ladies for their great support and the encouragement, I guess, is to be kind and gentle to yourself and your children, and like what Don says, the relationship, yeah, that matters most at the end of the day.
Thank you. How about you, Rebecca?
Yeah, I would really like to thank you for doing this live stream and for hosting it. I think one thing that I would like to encourage, like if you're a homeschooling graduate or homeschooling alumni, or someone who's going to graduate soon, if you're tuning in, know that your unique experiences are very valuable and you have something to give to the world. Like whatever you think it is, even if you're like, oh, I'm so boring. No, you do have something. And I hope that you find something that you're passionate about and that you find a way to give back to your local community. Yeah, you go.
Thank you, Rebecca. I think I should get all the homeschool teens together in a show, right? Philippines and Singapore and Taiwan. It would be nice to hear from everybody and hopefully from Malaysia, Indonesia. Okay, that's another event altogether. Let's figure that out after next week. So thank you, Rebecca. How about you, Dawn? Any last words of encouragement?
Well, to our Philippine audience watching this, I know you're in the midst of an election, and I also know that if you're homeschooling, it's everything up in the air. But just to let you know that, us people from Singapore doesn't mean that, we have our lives sorted out as well. And what's more important is that, God cares for you and He has your back. So whatever you're going through today, whatever you're going through now, there's somebody bigger watching over you, and it's going to be okay. All right. So come for the Homeschool Convention and get to know us, and we would love to get to know you too.
Thank you, Dawn. And I just had to share San's comment. Oh, you made me cry, Rebecca. So thank you so much. Actually, I'm keeping myself from crying too. From all your words, we are so very privileged to be working with. Okay. to be working with you guys. So thank you for that reminder that he always has our back. And just as I also told Dawn, for all of you who are watching, if God calls you to it, He'll see you through it. So for those who have not signed up and you want to meet people who are also homeschooling, who also share, the same pains and struggles, even if you're not of the same nationality or culture, we all have that same desire to be intentional with our children's education. So please join us at the first ever Asian Homeschool Convention happening next week. All right. So for now, I'll say goodbye to our beautiful and lovely and patient guests, very hardworking guests. I know they need to rest, and I just have some more announcements. So thank you, everybody. I'll see you later, hopefully. But if not, bye. Thank you so much. Okay, so I just have a few last announcements. Again, the Homeschool Convention Asia edition is happening next week, April 7 to 9, Thursday to Saturday. You can buy the tickets that you need on homeschoolalumni.sg. And please take note that there are keynote speakers from Indonesia, Taiwan, the Philippines, India, Singapore. I'm trying to look at the flags because I haven't memorized the countries. Also from Spain, I think Alvaro is from Spain or the UK. So please do join us next week. So the keynote teachings are pre-recorded, and you can take your time in learning from them. Also, another reminder for the high school program of the Homeschool Convention, tickets will be available only until 11:59 tonight, this evening. So if you want your teens to experience brainstorming with teens from different parts of the country, different parts of Asia, please do buy a ticket for them, for the Homeschool Convention High School program. And of course, the curriculum fair is open to everybody. As mentioned earlier, it's free admission. So please do join us. You will be able to view all the resources from homeschoolers and vendors from across Asia. So there is a fair for adults, for parents, and also for kids. All right. So I'll show you the components of the high school program again. So, and our very last announcement. So because Holy Week is coming up, we will be taking a longer break than usual. So we won't have our next episode next week, but it will be on April 22. And we have a surprise topic. So please do join us on April 22. It will be, the only clue that I can give you is it will be a very useful topic for parents, especially during this digital age. So please stay tuned to our social media so that you can be aware of the topic that we will be talking about. So again, follow Educating for Life at Events by EFL on FB and IG if you haven't yet, so that you know the upcoming topics. So till then, thank you so much again for joining us. Thank you to all those who commented, especially my fellow Educating for Life moms who are joining. And thank you also for the Asian Parent Philippines. Thank you for allowing us to live stream also on your page. If you're watching and you're from another country in Asia, please do join us at the Homeschool Convention Asia. So we'll see you next week, all right, online at the Homeschool Convention. Goodbye for now. Bye.